Multiverse listeners, it's time to go to war. Album Wars 2026. And what better way to get our first band versus band on than with, I don't know, the sinisterest of colors, the southern side of musical souls, the reach of the blues in such sort of different directions. They're only separated by the very nouns that are at the end of their name. One a duo in actuality, the other the responsibility of two brothers, much like that of these other two brothers out there on the English side that seem to can't get along on the pond. Together, you know, musically, these people are ridiculous, catchy, groovy, bluesy. Together as family, some of them, blood will be blood. Hell, both bands even have Moneymaker in their songs. One using roots rock in their own Ohioan ways, if that's even a word. The other two have been the very toast of Atlanta, maybe only rivaled by the roots and attachments of the Allman Brothers, and maybe the closest next thing might be Collective Soul. The war decree is the Battle of Black, and it's not what you think when it could have been Black Sabbath, but no, it's the Black Crowes of Atlanta, Georgia. Chris Robinson, Rich Robinson, out of Walton High School, always joined by great musicians, and Jimmy Page a couple of times. Yeah, why not, right? If Jimmy Page is with you, that pretty much it's signed, sealed, and delivered. Their rock concert is kind of what we call it Southern rock blues, and it's as royalty as it gets, and probably as long as it gets. The Black Keys of Akron, Ohio, Dan Arbach, producer, vocals, guitar, keys, bass. Well, Patrick Carney on the other side, drums, percussion, guitar, bass, piano, keyboard, rock and roll. Sure, they got that, but what do they got? They got Southern Delta blues in there. Yeah, if you don't believe me, just put on Delta Cream, and you'll be crawling King Snake. Electric blues, and even not on the thing tonight, but a hip hop record called Black Rock, where they did everything musically and just brought in people like Mos Def, Ludacris, Q-Tip, A Tribe Called Quest, and even Old Dirty Bastard from the Wu-Tang Clan. So you got to have some chops there. On the show tonight, I was going to say, speaking of Old Dirty Bastard, but I decided not to do any of that. If the Black Crowes had a secret society, he's in it up to here. Ray Geska.
Love me some crows.
You think it's coincidence that his keys are black on his keychain? No, Steve Scouten.
Love me some Black Keys.
She's hard to handle now. Susie Q.
I love black.
Keep it dark. All right. So this is the easy thing here. And we'll go to each one of us, and you'll give your 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 for the Black Crowes, and then we'll come back and we'll do the Black Keys. And since we're doing the Black Crowes, we'll go to the heaviest hitter on the panel for the Black Crowes, Ray Geska.
All right. Yeah. Hey, I'll tell you a couple of things to start. I had a lot of fun with this. Black Crowes, we've talked about this on the show a number of times. Huge fan. I've liked them for a long time. But what I found with both the Crowes and the Black Keys, who I'll touch on a little bit, who I didn't know as much until this last week when I listened to their whole library, I've also found, I'm going to play by the rules by all means, but I found that for me, it's not so much about albums for these bands as it is just being able to go through these albums and kind of pick out the songs that I like more. That's outside of the first two Crowes albums, but really enjoyed the chore of going through the albums and really rediscovering the Crowes in a lot of way and getting to know the Black Keys in a lot of way, because it's really one band that became of age in this century and in a whole different world of being exposed to music, because commercial radio doesn't do much of anything. You got to really be, be recommend have them recommended to you to be able to, go out and search and look for things. So it's definitely a different world, but definitely enjoyed the going through both of their libraries. But yeah, let's start it out here. So we're doing the Crows first, you said?
Yeah,
Okay.
just the Black Crows, and then we'll come back around.
Yeah, so I found it really interesting. I mean, my top two are definitely have always been, but I went through the library. The only thing I noticed that not only on the list that you sent, but then as I go through like other sites, they like list Crowology on there, which isn't really it's like your greatest hits collection, you know what I mean? So I definitely didn't even, consider that, which was a good album because again they picked out the great hits, but it's not a full album. So first off at number five, original their original second guitarist and the bassist had left the band after four releases. For me, this 1998 release was more of a return to the sound that was very familiar on the debut. They had gotten away from the sound of the first two albums on the next two albums, but By Your Side had that vibe again going, which I really love about the Crows. I love the description from the Milwaukee Journal Sentinel. They called By Your Side 45 minutes of good, dirty fun. And that's the sound of the Crows that really sticks for me, and really enjoyed listening to this one, By Your Side, the '98 release. In at number four, there'd been a really really long period in between releases for Chris and Rich and the band, 15 years to be exact, between studio albums, between '09 and 2024. It was true to the sound that made this 2024 release, Happiness, was really true to the sound that made me grow to love the Black Crows. I'd seen them four times in between new releases. Hadn't seen them before and hadn't seen them after, but in between, even though there were new releases, I seen them at least four times, might have been five. And now there's actually new material that's
Yeah.
due this year, and there's actually a couple of releases that have snuck out on Apple Music. But the boys perform if they get back this way. Another great quote was delivered by Classic Rock Magazine on 2024 release Happiness. A rock and roll record that's funkier than a Tramp's. I might have hit a typo here. More soulful than a gospel convention, warmer than a mother's love, and groovier than the Grand Canyon. It was a great release just 2 years ago. I gotta find out what the heck I mistyped there. Just got done listening to this one on the way home today, and I hadn't listened to it since it came out. It was so different that I really liked it. It was a bit of a departure. This is my number three, bit of a departure from their hard driving sound. There was a really good mix on this one. Some catchy choruses, some loose grooves, more of a stripped down sound at times. Chris's vocals seemed to be highlighted a lot more on this. It was a surprising take at the time, but I remember over the years, it's just become a breath of fresh air for this hard rocking boogie blues band. Number three, I'm going with Before the Freeze Until the Frost from 2009, which yeah, just a real fresh take on it. Just listening to some of this, sounds like they're having a lot of fun. Then the top two, I mean, two of the greatest rock albums for me of all time, really. Number two, their sophomore release in '92 was able to continue the strength and success of their debut that came out 2 years earlier. This one would generate four album rock number ones. This release really stood out at a time when grunge was suffocating rock, hair metal was bleeding, and the singer-songwriters of the day were looking to make their mark. And here were the Crows, Chris and his Steve Marriott, Mick Jagger, Steve Tyler, Rod Stewart, free era Paul Rogers, groove. He was on point, and Rich channeling his heroes as well. All Music described it perfectly, saying, Southern Harmony's not quite the immediate punch that Moneymaker was, but for fans who wanted to dig in deeper, get funky, and land as close as possible to the heart of bell-bottom, whiskey-soaked rock and roll, it's near perfect. And really was such a great album. And what a great follow-up. A lot of those bands from the day, like, you look at like Pearl Jam or even a little bit later with the Killers, they had this incredible first album, and then all of a sudden by the second album they wanted to get all experimental. But the Black Crowes stayed true to form in their second release. And then number one, no doubt about it, a debut for a band that immediately demonstrates they're a great classic rock and roll band. The title of the album is actually an original song by Elmore James, yet is not featured on the album. From beginning to end, this is one of those albums for me that I describe as perfect. It's my first album actually that I purchased on a CD.
Oh,
Yeah, I played it again and again and again. The 80s had been tough for classic rock, with hair bands. It's all it was hair bands, British rock, and, AC/DC and Guns N' Roses. That was all you could really find, aside from just maybe Aerosmith, but aside from that, I'm just a guy clamoring for some good Southern rock. And to the rescue came the Robinson Brothers and their band, Stonesy Swagger. And all the Black Crowes, man, shake your money maker. Number one.
excellent. All right, Sue.
Well, Ray stole everything I was going to say, so
Oh no.
mine will be much shorter. No, I'm kidding. That was great though. So number 5, I went with Lions, 2001. Um, my number 4, I went with By Your Side. Number 3, I went with Amorica. And then of course the top two. It was hard to decide, but I went number 2, The Southern Harmony, and number 1, Shake Your Moneymaker.
Okay.
He really did speak for me though, so
Yeah, the Amorica record. It's something you have to go back to because at the time it came out, it was a little screamy, different. I don't know. It had it. I don't think the cover did it any favors, to be honest
yeah.
with you. All kinds of
No.
controversy on that one, but hey, Steve.
Yeah, the Black Crows. This is a great war between these two. Like you mentioned, Mark, Atlanta v. Akron. Couple bands that notoriously each took a hiatus. Um, and uh, Razor and I went to see one of the hiatus bands at one point. But I digress. I'll go on to the Crows albums. My number 5 is By Your Side. Um, Good album. Um, Kicking my heart around. One I appreciate and really like. My number 4 is Lions. Right after the tour with Jimmy Page. Really, really, really good album. Soul singing brings out the best in Chris Robinson, and in my opinion. Um, Really good tune. So number 3 for me was Croology, and I'll explain why. I looked at that because it was acoustic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was semi a greatest hits, but I liked it end to end. I liked the different takes on the different songs. Um, Certainly appreciated it, and that was my number 3. Um, I thought about Happiness Bastards there, haven't seen them tour that a couple years back, but yeah, there was something about the acoustic side I really appreciated.
I don't think I even
Um,
realized that. I'm gonna have to go back and like
yeah,
check.
yeah, it's
Well,
all
there was said
acoustic.
I put it there because it's sort of like the Rolling Stones stripped. It's sort
Ah,
of like we're doing next week. We're doing 5440's uh, catalog review show, and they have an album called La Différence, and it's actually acoustically different done versions of the most popular songs.
I'm gonna
So
listen to
it's totally different.
Croology.
Anyway,
Okay, so um, I'm a little different than you guys. I went with their I went with their debut as number 2. Again, in both of these albums, the first 6 to 8 songs are a murderer's row. They every single song. I don't know if I like one more than another. They're just fantastic. And to Ray's point, both of these, two of the best albums I own. They just are. Fortunate enough to see them back in '91, touring. I don't think they had quite gotten to Southern Harmony and Musical
We've been right in
Companion.
between.
Yeah, I think they're pretty. They opened for ZZ Top in Syracuse, and they were just wonderful. Um, but yeah, I don't think. I mean, tomato tomato with 1 and 2. They're both just one day at one period of time. I'll be listening to Shake Your Money Maker for a long time. The other, but I truly in my again my favorites. Southern Harmony and Musical Companions, one of the best albums ever. Just end to end, and Rich on the guitar, Chris sing. They're just wonderful, and I'm fortunate to have that expanse of time, seeing them in '91, then seeing them what 2 years ago at Borderland. They were the opening night,
Okay. Yeah.
and they blew the house down
Yeah.
as they do when they're solo too. I mean, when Rich went out on his own and did the whole Hookah Brown thing, and
Chris
uh,
Robinson Brotherhood.
yeah, I mean, and Chris with the Brotherhood. I mean, Hookah Brown, that band had what you call Gordy Johnson from Big Sugar in it.
Big Sugar in it. Yep.
So I mean, these guys, they're studs, the two of them. So yeah, I'll leave it there.
Amen. Nice job.
Thanks.
All right. My number 5 is like I probably wouldn't have put it there if I hadn't gone back. I had a problem with Before the Frost. I don't know where my mind was, where I was at that point. I felt like it was too jammy, not enough bluesy, southern kind of thing, right? Which will explain itself as I get to the final 2. But for me, Warpaint had that. It was good, and it ended so much like a Rolling Stones old record. That's what I'm like, God, I don't remember this being or feeling this way about it. Like it was almost like they said, "Hey, can we pull off our own Exile on Main Street here at the end?" And I was
Nice.
like, I really like that. So I put it in number 5. Number 4, Happiness Bastard. Great return.
Yep.
I don't know what they did, but this is almost that pushing that bar to where they used to be, but not going backwards in time. And that right there puts me to By Your Side. I love the record. I think it's the best album cover they ever had because of the way the way it looks, the way it feels, and then the music is delivered the same way. And then I am exactly like Steve. Shake Your Money Maker. I put that at number 2 because it's the stripped down, raw kind of feel that's got. All right, one of the songs is what Otis Redding and the gang there, or whatever, right? But Southern Harmony, the Musical Companion, I put it ahead of it because somehow I felt like they found something different in the same, right? They know what they are, but they know they needed something else. And the way that album kicks off, all first 3 tracks, Hotel Illness. First of all, how do you even write that song? This room smells like Hotel Illness, and you're gonna make a song out of that. That's ballsy, and that's where they've been. That's why that album is start to finish. Yeah, I think if all the Allman Brothers were alive today, they all have said if they were asked, what album do you wish you wrote? I bet you they'd say that one.
Thorn in My Pride, man. What a
One
beautiful
of the
song.
best, maybe my favorite, like non-commercial, like big Black Crow songs. "Thorn in My Pride."
Yeah,
It's
and
wonderful.
I imagine it
Spectacular.
sounds different when they play it live anyway because he can if he wants to hold it and bang it, he can. If he
That's
wants to
right.
be, oh yeah, it's got so
Yeah,
much.
Thorn in My Pride, it's kind of like Soul Shine or something, from the
Yeah,
Elements.
Yeah.
It's just,
Yeah, they can walk that song out for a while and then
yeah.
drop back into it, right?
yeah.
That they'll do a big interlude and then drop. It's one of those songs where you can, and Rich can sit up there and jam and then drop and it goes to and then everybody's like floored at what
Yeah.
you just saw before they go into it. It's one of those type of things.
Amen.
All right, so
I'm
we've done
very
Crows.
jealous you guys got to see him live so many
Oh,
times.
so good.
Yeah, ridiculous. Ridiculous.
All right, so we'll go back to
Mhm.
Ray now for the Black Keys, which he admitted he's got to get into it. Good for him.
Yeah, yeah, and I started to. It's as much as again, my love for the Crows. I really appreciate the Black Keys. It's going through everything. It's really hard to believe the number of releases they've had.
Isn't it?
I never really knew a whole lot about, but like many classic bluesmen, the music is so great. What I found is, like many classic bluesmen, the music is so great,
Mhm.
but the vocals often leave me with desiring something. It's like Dan Auerbach is never going to be, at least for me, going to be considered like an overall great vocalist, but he does so much in other ways that makes the sound, or makes the vocals, makes it less about the vocals because of everything else going on. But that's what I've struggled with some bands that I love their music so much. I think another example is like Fish. Like I love their music, but I really don't like Trey Anastasio.
Let
You
me
know,
ask you, let me ask you something though. As someone who's a deep lover of Bad Company, while you were listening to them, did you get a hint of Auerbach? He tried, in my opinion, again, and I don't mean to step on your thing here, but
step on me, brother.
I think he you can get hints of he's trying to get to a Paul Rogers level, not level, but a Paul Rogers vibe in some of the songs I get that thing where he's going to a Paul Rogers trying to get to a Paul Rogers. Now, you as an aficionado of Paul Rogers, and I know your love of him, wouldn't get him there. But I don't know if you kind of diving into him, I wondered if you got that sense.
That's an interesting take because there's definitely something there. I do hear
You
some.
can kind of feel, I kind of thought you might.
Yeah, there's definitely some things going on there. So as things went on, I started to like him more.
Yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? I think like I like a lot of their stuff, and I
yeah,
liked a lot of the stuff in their library. But like I said, with the Crows, I think I'm more about finding songs than having to listen to the whole album. And what
yeah.
I and as I'm going through it, I gotta, I listened to that first album, and I'm like. I mean, I really just, I don't know what it was. I mean, it seemed too raw for me. And it's
Yep.
just like something about that distortion or whatever that they're trying to do. It just, I don't know. Like, I really like that bluesy feel and it's raw, but it's just like, I don't know. It just sounds like, is this really in sync here? But anyway, so long story here, I'm not including that first album.
No,
But beyond
Mhm.
that first
I doubt
album,
any of us are. If any of
beyond
us
that
are, I'd
first
be
album,
shocked.
then all of a sudden you could start to see and hear the growth of the band. You really could, and I'm going to touch on some of that. But my number five, I had gone back and forth between 2014's Turn Blue, which was actually a departure from their sound, and it started to get a little more eclectic. I'm almost looking like when the Tragically Hip, in the turn of the century, and they started to get a little bit eclectic with some of their albums and getting away from their really deep blues sound. It seemed to be happening on
Yeah.
Turn Blue, but I found some of the tracks very interesting, and I'm gonna go back and probably listen to it again. But I determined I like more tracks on Brothers, their 2010 release. There was a really nice mid-album roll on there. Started with "Howling for You," which is a really great song, and so I put Brothers in at number five. I've been piecing, I've been moving even since we started. I've been moving
So it's okay.
a few things around here. So the band had been around a while before I ever really got a sniff of who they were or what they sounded like. I had heard of them, but never really heard them. Then in 2008 they started to get more of a commercial exposure, and then in 2011 was kind of like their commercial arrival. Gold on the Ceiling, right, was all over. They played at the Sabre games all the time. That was like their commercial single breakthrough in 2011. While now I can see it isn't their best release by any means, but it's a good song. But they have so much other good stuff. But it was the breakthrough to the mass audience, and then listening to the whole album, I really started to like the more polished sound that they had, especially when comparing back to that first album when there
First
was
album.
no polish at all. This had more polish, and it's like they were really giving it off, and it really started to sound pretty smooth. So I'm going with El Camino at number 4. I really wish I had discovered this album when it was released. At the time, you really had to, back in that day, you had to look for it, like I said, or know somebody who was aware of it because it did not seem readily available. Pretty much the story of today. Commercial radio is not going to help you discover great new bands. References and regular searches, that's what you need. So I was glad to have discovered this album. Less raunchy than the debut, but still need to get around some of that distortion, but I really started to get into thick freakness from 2003. So that is my number 3 album.
Cool.
At number 2, after the first few releases, like I talked about, and then the arrival of the commercially successful fourth and fifth album, the Keys seemed, at least from what I'm hearing, the Keys started to expand on their sound. It wasn't just raunchy, distorted blues, but they got more creative. I like a good deal of the raunchy blues, but never again like that distorted sound. But then after a decade, it seemed, um, in my ride through the library this past week, that they were trying to be different as we got into this current decade. And all of a sudden, I'm listening to this album and I'm like, wow, they're really getting back to what they did best, 10 plus years prior with the release of Delta Cream. Like, what a fantastic album. I'm like, literally tomorrow, I'm going to go back in. I'm listening to those two albums that I just mentioned. Delta Cream's one of it. I was on the verge of putting in it at number 1, but I'm going to put it in at number 2. And then at number 1, I didn't love the debut. Like I said, I'm a blues guy, but there again is something for me about Gray's blues guitars with muffled vocals. Then if you add that distorted sound, I'm looking for something else. But this band, hey, they've been producing their own stuff for a while. It was until their next 2 releases that you began to really notice and hear that growth. They were fine-tuning the sound, but 2004, man, tracks like When the Lights Go Out, Stack Shot Billy,
Mm.
Grown So Ugly, grabbed my attention and just had me. Rubber Factory,
Mm.
2004. I'm putting that
Wow.
at number 1.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Wow. Nice work.
Thank you.
Yeah. This is kind of the idea of when a person comes into a band, right? And
Yeah.
how they explore the catalog and how they get to it. Here's one where we just drop what we're doing, right? And he knows he's going to be in for the Black Crow, so he's got to go do the Black Keys. Now he might have been pulled into the Black Keys by Steve. It's a certain point, maybe something mentioned, but there are other times where people say to you, they say, "Hey, check this album out," right? And then that's where you first start. Like, let's say you first start 2011 for Brothers. No,
Or Joy Step
2010.
Brothers.
yeah. Um, that's one where technically they were everywhere. Um, in the alternative rock realm, they were starting. El Camino kind of sealed the deal. But yeah, so it's interesting where people come in and how it all comes together. So with that, we'll go to Sue, who's kind of in the middle of this, I think.
Yeah. So, and again, like the Black Rose was kind of an autopilot, comfortable listen. The Black Keys, again, I don't know where I was that you were listening to them and I was not, but they weren't, I don't recall them being on the playlist except for, random, like you hear something here and there, but um so it's a little harder to do, but it was tough listening to them against the Black Crows. because it's been a while for me with the Black Crows. Uh, Going head to head, they both offered something different. Um, and I different, but I this battle was I think I like this one as opposed to some other ones because they weren't so different that it was
Right.
like, okay, completely different sounds altogether, but um almost complementary of each other. I don't know. But Thick Freakness almost made it on my list to number five, but I wound up going with Magic Potion.
Magic potion.
I just like the blues rocky sound on that one. Uh,
Number
and my
four.
number four, I went with Attack and Release. Um, I just thought it was interesting. You know, I like a little bit experimental sounds, and so that's why I chose that one. Number three, I went with Rubber Factory. Um, and I did think the earlier stuff was not for me, but it kind of I could feel a little bit of it in this album. Um, I mean, it's still early, I guess 2004, but no, well, no, not. I guess not, but uh my number two, I went with El Camino. Um, and number one, I went with Brothers. So kind of a little bit opposite of Ray there. My one and two were his four and five, but
But it's that raw blues. It seems like it's always there. It's just the question of the complementary design of what happens to it, right? Does it become pop centric? Does it become rock centric, or does it just go right crashing into Delta? And no matter what they do, it's a hard catalog to kind of rank.
Mhm.
And with that, we'll go to the professional, Steve Scout.
I'd hardly call myself a professional, Mark, but I'll give this a ride. So early on when Ray was doing his, you made the comment, I don't know that anybody will have that in there. Well, hold my beer, because I have the big come up as my number five. Raw, ugly, new, covers a Beatles song.
Oh, that's
Um,
right.
I love the tune "I'll Be Your Man." It's a fantastic song. And it's their debut, and it's nasty. It really is. But you could see in the album, and again, I don't want to sound like I was in on them, back when this came out in 2002, because I was not. I was
Okay.
a I was a mid-level arriver with the Black Keys, and then now I've really grown to appreciate their catalog and what they do.
Mhm.
So this was more of a study to find out about it. But I really like the album. I think it's like that first Tragically Hippie, album where you go, holy crap, that's back there on there. That's one, where was I when that came out type
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
So yeah, I
right.
really like that is number five. Um, Number four for me, um, kind of goes back to um, the period of time when they became more bluesy. They kind of got away from that distorted, um, they kind of started. I mean, they were always kind of bluesy, but the distortion thing, this was more refined. I want to say this was the one where oh, the famous producer jumped in on Danger Mouse
Okay.
jumped in on this. So this is 2008's Attack and Release.
Hmm.
Mhm.
Um, love the tune I Got Mine. I Got Mine may have been the song where that I heard where I said, I gotta listen to them. Like that is just it's just it's got that that opening riff, and then they start banging it up. That was the hook for me. I'm like, these guys got something. So yeah, for me, Attack and Release is number four. For me, number three, and Razor brought it up. when they started going to the Delta Blues. Delta Cream for me from 2021. Wonderful album. Love it. Um, Ray covered it well. I don't really have much more to say about it. Number two for me is Brothers. You know, Tighten Up and Howlin' for You are the commercial faves. I can't say anything other than, just a real solid album. Like it a lot. Number one for me is probably number one on a lot of people's lists, and that's El Camino. Um, and I'll say this about El Camino. I'm not a gigantic fan of the song Gold on the Ceiling. And I think it's just because you hear it all the time. I am a huge fan of the song Little Black Submarines.
Yeah.
Little Black Submarines is two songs in one. And it's got that feel of a song you might have heard in the late 60s, early 70s. This, you know, I'll liken it to this. It's obviously not Stairway, but it's got a very subtle beginning and then it just takes off, kind of like Stairway does. So, yeah, Auerbach and Carney have grown on me. I cannot believe that with this war of bands, it was 34 years between the time I saw the one band the first time and the time I saw the other band the first time. So
Wow.
Wow.
crazy to think about, but yeah, this is fun. Fun for me for sure.
Wow. My five. So I came in at Attack and Release. A friend of mine burned the CD for me, and I was like, "Wow, okay, I get what you're selling." Um, but I liked me Magic Potion better, just because of the polish. I don't know. I don't know why. I don't. Maybe it was not No Danger Mouse. Maybe I don't know. Although Auerbach does crazy things himself, so this guy's an enigma. Really, he's just what I guess why I thought that the first album would never get that is just because it's so not produced like anything else that he's ever done. Right? I wonder what he thinks. Right? I mean, I
Right.
know the time that maybe it's just overly distorted. Well, wait a minute. Where was it recorded? Like it's like in a warehouse or something.
That's right.
Something like that, right? Anyway, my number four is El Camino. I I like it. I like it a lot. It has everything I want in a record. But for some reason, the story of Ohio players at number three just is just engaging to me. The whole bowling alley thing, the ins and outs of culture and people, and the way they've taken El Camino, they've taken Magic Potion, they've taken everything they've ever been, and Akron and what it is, and made it into a musical. Their kind of musical, right? And no overplaying, just simple, because what you can only plug in, but it sounds so good and so well done. I was kind of stunned. Delta Cream, number two, just a surprise, an absolute banger of a Southern Delta distorted electric blues record, as if it was. I'm gonna think of the band, The Them, reincarnated from House of the Rising. No, what am I? Oh man.
Baby, please don't go.
Yeah, Baby, please don't. I mean, the whole album's even a little Morrison with your Snake Blues, right? But just the way it became something, and it just snowballed after listen after listen after listen after listen, just going, wow, you're there, you know where you are, and I love it when I know where I am in a record, start to finish. And my number one is Brothers. Why? Yes, it's the commercial one. I thought it was going to suck, because those songs that were on the radio, I figured were the only good things on there. just because they got overplayed to death, right? And they're so catchy. When it comes on, you're like, and I honestly can say this, all right? Pour Some Sugar on Me was overplayed to death, and I hated it. All these the two songs on this record that are overplayed, I won't turn them off. I won't turn them off. They're good. They're really good. And I'll put this record on, and I know no one will be offended. Everyone will dig it. It's like that record you can put on at a party. Ain't no one going, well, that's a bunch of crap. No, that's
Yeah.
just not. So Brothers is my number one.
Nice.
Nice.
I will get the spreadsheet out, and we'll count her down. All right, here we go. On our left bracket, which is the Black Crows, we're going to look at the number 1 seed is Southern Harmony and the Musical Companion. And the number 2 seed is Shake Your Moneymaker. So Shake Your Moneymaker will go up against By Your Side, which came in the final part of the bracket, the number 4. And Southern Harmony and the Musical Companion will go up against, let's do that again. Shake Your Moneymaker up against By Your Side, which came in at number 3. And the 4th seeded record is Happiness Bastards, the latest release. Will go up against Southern Harmony and the Musical Companion. And we'll start, we'll go to the other side. On the Black Keys side, Brothers was the number 1 record, followed by El Camino. So El Camino at number 2 will face the number 3 record, which is Delta Cream. And Brothers will face off against the number 4 record, Rubber Factory. And we'll start on the Black Crows side at number 2 versus number 2 versus number 3, Shake Your Moneymaker versus By Your Side. And we'll start there with Ray.
Moneymaker.
Steve.
Shake Your Moneymaker, please.
Sue.
Shake Your Moneymaker.
And I am a resounding yes, so it's a sweep. Over to Southern Harmony and the Musical Companion versus Happiness Bastards. I will start off Southern Harmony. Sue.
Southern.
Steve.
Southern Harmony.
Ray.
Southern Harmony and the Musical Companion.
Very nice. All right, so Southern Harmony and the Musical Companion will face off against Shake Your Moneymaker.
It would just be a double album.
And there are 4 of us on the panel. It could be a tie. Tie will go to Dam. She did send her list. Ray.
Moneymaker.
Steve.
Can I vote C?
You're doing a throwaway vote.
Yes. Southern Harmony and Musical Companion.
Sue.
Shake Your Moneymaker.
And I am Southern Harmony and the Musical Companion, and Deb is Southern Harmony and the Musical Companion.
Okay.
So by the tiebreaker, she will.
Can't go wrong. Definitely.
There's nothing
at
wrong
all.
with either one, right?
Steve said it perfectly. One of the greatest, finest recordings ever.
They both are. They both are. 1A and 1A. Truthfully.
Right? Just like right up there
They
with
are.
Sticky Fingers and Let It Bleed.
They are. If only there were 8 days in a week, you listen to one 4 days and the other one 4 days.
Well, there are for some bands.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. On to the Black Keys side. El Camino versus Delta Cream. That's me to start.
1, 2, 3, 4, pressure.
Delta Cream. Steve.
Damn it. I knew you were gonna go me next. El Camino.
Sue,
El Camino.
Ray.
Delta Cream.
I feel bad because I didn't give that one like a super thorough listen.
Yeah, it was
Well, we had it in the car the one
I
day when we
know.
were driving to.
I know.
All right,
And I
what do we?
liked it. It's just, yeah.
I'm predicting Deb takes.
And Deb. El Camino.
Mm.
El Camino will win. Brothers versus Rubber Factory. Right.
Rubber Factory.
Steve.
Brothers.
Sue.
Brothers.
Mark. Brothers.
Brothers.
All right. So now Brothers will take on El Camino. Guess that worked out just the same as the Black Crows, didn't it?
Hmm.
I'll start Brothers. Steve. Or no, Sue, sorry.
I will go brothers.
Steve.
El Camino.
Ray.
El Camino.
Another tiebreaker. What the? She's got Brothers. She has El Camino in third place.
That spreadsheet's getting a workout tonight.
Yeah, there was
Yeah,
so she had Magic Potion, Thick Freakness, El Camino, Ohio Players, and Brothers.
Oh, wow.
Nice list.
Alex told me he would have taken Delta Cream #1. No, he did. I was texting with him earlier.
Yeah,
He said he doesn't know anything about the Black Crows. That's why he's not on.
Crichton said he would have taken Deja Vu by Crosby, Stills.
Yeah, he would have taken Blue by Joni Mitchell.
So the final war will be between the Southern Harmony and the Musical Companion versus Brothers, right? Yep. So that's to Ray.
There's no competition. Southern Harmony by a country mile.
Steve.
I love you, Black Keys, but you're no Jack Kennedy. Southern Harmony and Musical Companions, one of the best albums ever. So yeah.
Sue.
Yeah, I was thinking it would be nice to have one of those The Voice things where you could save someone, like a golden ticket for
Spin your chair on.
Yeah, there we go. But I think I have to go Black Crows in Southern Harmony by a hair
Yes. I
for
mean,
me.
while
And
the-
again, only because I was just surprised by how much I like the Black Keys. So, you know.
Excellent.
Not in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, right, Ray? Black Crows?
No.
Should be.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That list is getting a little bit more as time goes on. I'm starting to, like, we did a show and we talked about Phil Collins, not solo in there.
Yeah.
And Excess isn't in there.
Right.
Black Crows aren't in there. And then I don't have anything against the people that get in most of the time, but I'm thinking about these people. I'm like, wait a minute. Why did they
but
get in already?
I think over as the years go on and Jan Wenner's influence over the election, I think you're going to see more of a variety of rock and roll stars go in.
Yeah.
Because he had some pull.
I hope so.
Yeah, I'm just
He's trying to be too inclusive, worried about,
Well,
it's not about inclusive, it's just about greatness.
Correct. He wanted music as opposed to rock and roll music.
Mm-hmm.
And I think as time goes on, and you could see more music, but I think you're going to see some of those bands that were shunned. And you're seeing it now. You're seeing some people that should have and now are in, like Bad Company, for example. I think you'll see more and more.
So were your 5 albums of the Black Crowes and the Black Keys? How would this have gone if you were involved? Give us a war decree. Come on, I dare you. Start a war. Start an album war. We'll finish it for you. And, maybe we'll even invite you to the war. We're on the web at beyondyourradio.com, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, of course. Articles, videos, and a podcast coming soon, all about music, albums, bands, artists, anything we can get our hands on. Go Beyond Your Radio. That's a real music appreciation channel. The next album war, we go to the Battle of 1997 instead of 77.
Oh boy. Okay.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. Join us this week for more like album for today. We've got That's Your Band Name coming up and the album review Saturdays. Thanks for watching and happy listening.